evening, viewers. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. This is The Nation Wants to Know, and I'm Heena Bhir. Viewers, the entire country today is anxiously waiting to know the reason behind the Air India crash on 12th of June last year at Ahmedabad Airport. Why did Air India flight AI171 to London crash just 32 seconds after takeoff? This tragic crash, viewers, left 260 people dead, 241 on board and 19 on the ground. On the crash anniversary this year, the investigative body AAIB released a status update report, not the full probe report as was expected. Remember, the prelim report, in fact, within a month of the crash, with a paraphrased tiny excerpt of conversation between pilots, made many believe, especially those in Western media, that pilots were at fault. And that led to a demand that full transcript of the conversation should be released so that the world knows what really happened. It has been 398 days since the crash, and the families are still waiting for answers and justice.
अहमदाबाद से जो फ्लाइट क्रैश हुआ उससे हमें बुरा सदमा दिलो दिमाग में लगाया है। मेरे 4 लोग थे फ्लाइट में। अभी एक सदमे इतना हुआ कि एनी टाइम मेरी मदर की इतनी तबीयत खराब है ना, मम्मी को बोलता हूँ, मम्मी किससे बात करिए फ़ोन पे? मम्मी ऐसा बोलती है, तेरा भाई है ना गिरीश से बात करियो, गिरीश आने वाला है अभी।
जिसको जो फ्लाइट क्रैश हुई उसमें मेरे फैमिली के 3 मेंबर हैं। 12 तारीख को रात को अप्रॉक्स 9 से 10 बजे के तकरीबन ये पता चला कि सभी की डेथ हो चुकी है। जब हमें डीएनए सैंपल देने के लिए बुलाया गया तब जाके हमको पता चला कि सब एक्सपायर हो चुके हैं। हमको ब्लैक बॉक्स के डेटा ट्रांसपेरेंसी के साथ दिया जाए।
सरकार से एक ही मांग है कि हमें इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए कि इंसिडेंट क्यों हुआ। ब्लैक बॉक्स का डेटा AAIB से जो बोइंग कंपनी है उससे क्या इंसिडेंट हुआ जिसकी वजह से ये हुआ, तो सही जानकारी हमें पहले तो चाहिए।
Now, viewers, amid the long wait, the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau has told Supreme Court that it expects to complete the investigation within 6 weeks, with a final draft report likely to be ready by October. Finally, we know that perhaps by October, there could be closure for the families who are still waiting to know what really happened. But why is it taking so long for AAIB to make the report public? Let's try and understand that particular aspect. According to AAIB, probe spans multiple countries. Technical testing is underway and international experts are involved. Final aim is to establish the root cause. Now, viewers, the Supreme Court is set to hear a batch of petitions seeking an independent probe into the crash on 17th of July, and ahead of that, an affidavit was filed on behalf of Ministry of Civil Aviation and the AAIB. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau told the Supreme Court that there is an absolute statutory prohibition on disclosing cockpit voice recordings and airborne image recordings from the 12th June Ahmedabad plane crash to any external committee or public. Now, here's what the affidavit mentions on this particular part. Cockpit voice recordings cannot be shared. This is the declaration that has been made. There's a statutory prohibition on sharing the recordings. CVR and airborne image recordings are protected, and protection ensures witness candor declaration. And this is what the affidavit mentions. Now, there was also a demand of the petitioners' viewers to have a court-monitored independent probe. On that particular aspect, the AAIB, this particular investigative body, has said that there is no need because the probe is currently underway as per international standards. But the question is, why is the AAIB refusing to make the cockpit voice recordings public? Let's take a look at its argument. Argument 1, according to AAIB, global norms are being followed and that are governed by aircraft investigation rules of 2025. There is a confidentiality clause that's mandatory under Rule 17. That's the argument that AAIB has given. Disclosure, AAIB says, could hurt future probe. Safety probe, is something that's the aim here, and they don't want to indulge in any kind of blame fixing here. The idea is to ensure that something that happened on 12th of June last year does not happen again. The idea is to prevent such future investigations. That's the objective of this probe. But do investigators release cockpit tapes? Now, here's what the law says. I mean, there is a different law that we see in different countries. Some countries follow certain rules, but they're all guided by common aviation rules. But if you take an example of America, then according to NTSB, CVR audio recordings are not released. However, transcripts of pertinent portions are released. But there are exceptions also. In fact, one of the most cited examples is that of Egypt Air Flight 990 crash on 31st of October 1999. It was a Boeing 767 that crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, killing all 217 people on board. During the probe, the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board released excerpts from the cockpit voice recorder transcript. Egyptian investigators concluded that a mechanical failure caused the accident. U.S. investigators maintained that the crash was deliberately caused by the co-pilot. So there is some concern there also. There still remains, in fact, a disputed issue even today. Now, viewers, let's discuss it with our guests who are joining us on Nation Wants to Know this particular evening. We have with us in fact, Captain C.S. Randhawa, President, Federation of Indian Pilots. And we also have with us Sarosh Damania, who is an aviation lawyer. Good evening to both of you, gentlemen. Appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now. Captain Randhawa, we spoke earlier as well in the afternoon, but now I want to understand from you that for the first time, we have got to know that AAIB is going to release the final report by October. Does it bring some kind of relief? Because, the world is waiting for this particular report to come out. Do you think now there is some hope maybe there'll be closure, even though they've said no to sharing audio recordings, the CVR recordings, but transcript perhaps, can be shared? Could you unmute yourself, sir?
Good evening, Shivani. We spoke in the afternoon also.
Sir, your video is off now. You'll have to turn on the video. We can hear you clearly, but your video is off now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. In the afternoon, we had spoken on this issue, and I had clearly spelled out that AIB is within its purview what is given in the Rule 17 of the position that they may not share the information of the CVR and other recordings with the public. However, nowhere in the rule position it says that it cannot be asked by the courts. Because you have to understand that apart from the Supreme Court, which is in India, there is a court case going on in UK, and there will be another case which is yet to be filed in the US courts, where almost 130 families are going to be signatories to that case. So the foreign courts can demand the transcripts. Now, some of the transcripts, as you said, that can be made public. But as far as AIB is concerned, I have my doubts that any transcript is going to be divulged to the public. Now, regarding the final report, which you rightly said that it is in the media, that in October they will come out with the report. Now, as per the ICAO Annex 13, they have to give minimum 4 weeks, can go up to 6 weeks, time to the stakeholders and come out with a draft report. First, the draft report will come, which will be marked to all the stakeholders, and thereafter they will publish the final report. So if I go by the date in October, the draft report should come out in August.
Okay.
Because it will give about 4 to 6 weeks. I would say if not August, it will be September, if they're coming out with the final report in October. Now, we have been long awaiting the report. Again, there is no constraint over any state to complete the report within 1 year. I have said earlier also, like the MH370 till today, we do not have the report. Even Air France 447, that report was completed in about almost 3 years it took to complete. So there is no embargo that the report has to come within 1 year.
Okay.
Only thing that we have been knocking at the doors of the Supreme Court that we need a judicial probe to ensure more transparency and accountability in the report, which is lacking in present system.
But
and I have repeatedly
said, Captain Randhawa has opposed it.
Pardon me?
AAIB in its affidavit in the Supreme Court has opposed the need for a court-monitored independent probe.
They can say anything because they lack the expertise. They can say anything. Today, if you see, I have been repeatedly saying after the crash that the present investigation board of those 5 people, 3 are from DGCA, direct conflict of interest. The other 2 are from the Air Force. All 5 of them lack the basic expertise which is governed by ICAO Doc 9756 Part 1 Paragraph 2.4.
Right.
So the investigation board, and they are not taking on board the subject matter experts. Captain Sandhu was taken and he was replaced by one 737 captain.
Okay.
So that they are not carrying out the investigations in the right direction. Okay. I don't think so. They have even looked at the electrical problems.
Okay.
They
so
just
you're
gave
not
a short
convinced with
transcript.
the way the probe has moved in this particular case. Captain Randhawa, please stay on with us. Also joining us on the broadcast is Attorney Chuck in Chionuma, who is a lawyer representing 105 victims of Air India flight AI171 crash. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking with us here on Times Now. Your thoughts on what the investigative agency AAIB has told the Supreme Court today. The hearing is going to happen on 17th of July. According to AAIB, probe is being carried out independently. 49 of 66 steps have been completed. The idea is to prevent future, accidents, and technical testing has been completed. But it is also mentioned that it can't really share the cockpit voice recording with public because that's against the rules.
That we don't understand. Currently, all of this delay is prolonging the agony for the families involved. The rules require the AAIB to produce their reports earlier, and the delays are quite unnecessary and not understandable at all.
In your opinion, what could be the reason behind the delay?
Well, we really don't know. The delays could be legitimate or they could not be. But the effect of it for the families is just quite devastating. The families should be in a position to know what has happened already and begin to put their lives back together. But right now, it's impossible for them to do that.
Like the, pilot associations here in India, do you also believe there should be a court-monitored independent probe into this matter? Are you satisfied with the way probe is going on?
No, we are not satisfied at all. We believe all the information should have been out by now. The recordings should be out, and the public should begin to see exactly what happened in the event. The continued delay is really agonizing the families immensely.
And also, is the pilot error an escape route for the big players of aviation hardware? Because, even though in the court, AAIB has mentioned that, we cannot really share the CVR recordings, but in the preliminary report that came out within first month of the crash, a paraphrased excerpt of that conversation was put in that particular report by AAIB.
That's the fallacy in the whole process. Now, they will release information in the beginning and then withhold the actual recordings when they are supposed to release it. There's no reason for them to be doing that. As far as we're concerned, the information should be released to the public so that the the right conclusions can be made as quickly as possible.
But AAIB here has said that, it cannot release the recordings. It's against the rules.
We disagree. If they could release it in the beginning, they can definitely release it when the rules require them to release it.
But now, for the first...
Right now,
yes.
Right now they are behind time in the times, in their required time to release the information.
But for the first time, we have got to know at least by October, the draft report is going to be released. Does that bring some kind of hope that finally there's going to be closure?
A little bit. Hopefully that will come out, but we anticipate that there may be some further delay, judging from what they've been doing so far. We just hope they will be able to keep to their words this time.
You're representing 105 victims of this particular crash, this tragic crash on 12th of June last year. What is it that they are telling you? What is it that they want right now?
The families mostly want to know exactly what happened. They want all the correct information, all the right information to come out so they can know what happened to their loved ones and begin to put the pieces back together and put their lives back together. Right now, everything is in limbo. They have no good information to go by. And then you have the pilots' families being agonized even further by the suggestions that the pilots may have been involved in some nefarious activities. It's just incredible.
Thank you very much for speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. Viewers, we are also joined on the broadcast by Heena Bhir, who is also somebody whose life was impacted because of this particular crash. Firstly, Heena Bhir, can you tell us who from your family was in this particular aircraft?
I talk with Hindi.
Any language that you're comfortable with.
आप मुझे हिंदी में सवाल करिए, मैं हिंदी में अच्छे से आंसर दूंगा आपको।
मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहती हूँ कि आपके परिवार में से कौन था इस एयरक्राफ्ट में?
इस एयरक्राफ्ट में मेरे फैमिली के 3 मेंबर हैं। फर्स्ट मेरा बिग ब्रदर परवेज बोहरा, दैट्स 33 ईयर ओल्ड, मेरी नैन्सी 3.8 इयर्स ओल्ड एंड मेरी आंट यास्मीन जी बोहरा, ये तीनों मेंबर मेरे फैमिली के इस फ्लाइट में है।
आप ये बताइए, जब आज ये खबर आई तो आपका पहला रिएक्शन क्या था? पहली बात तो AAIB जो इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रही है इस पूरे मामले को, AAIB ने सुप्रीम कोर्ट को कहा है कि इंडिपेंडेंटली प्रोब हम कर रहे हैं, अक्टूबर तक रिपोर्ट आ जाएगी। उन्होंने कहा कि कोर्ट मॉनिटर्ड इंडिपेंडेंट प्रोब की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है और उनका ये भी कहना है कि जो कॉकपिट के वॉइस रिकॉर्डिंग है उन्हें शेयर नहीं किया जा सकता क्योंकि ये रूल्स के खिलाफ है।
पहले तो मैं ये बताना चाहूंगा आपको कि ये रिपोर्ट मेरे हिसाब से जानबूझकर डिले की जा रही है। लास्ट जब मैंने एक इंटरव्यू दिया था रिगार्डिंग ऑफ कैप्टन के रिगार्डिंग ऑफ स्टीयरिंग के हाथ में जो मैंने बॉडी देखा था उसके रिगार्डिंग मैंने इंटरव्यू दिया था। उसके बाद में AAIB ने 11 मंथ में मई 2026 में एक प्रेस नोट जाहिर किया था कि 12 जून 2026 के दिन एनिवर्सरी के दिन हम रिपोर्ट रिलीज करेंगे। उस दिन रिपोर्ट रिलीज नहीं हुई और डायरेक्टली एक नोट आ गई कि अभी भी इन्वेस्टिगेशन चालू है। पहला के जैसे कि कल बताया गया हाईकोर्ट के अंदर कि जो रिकॉर्डिंग और ब्लैक बॉक्स का डेटा है जो पब्लिश नहीं किया जाएगा। तो पहला सवाल मेरा ये है कि जब फ्लाइट क्रैश हुई तो आफ्टर 2 to 3 डेज कैप्टन की वॉइस रिकॉर्डिंग क्यों रिलीज की गई? जैसे कि कैप्टन की वॉइस रिकॉर्डिंग की गई कि भाई आपने फ्यूल स्विच कट ऑफ किया है, आपने किया है, दोनों कैप्टन ने आपस में बातचीत करी थी, वो रिकॉर्डिंग क्यों रिलीज की गई? उसका क्या मतलब हुआ फिर? अगर ये अभी बता रहे हैं कि ये हम पब्लिश नहीं कर पाएंगे तो पहले उसको पब्लिश करने का रीजन क्या था? क्या डायलॉग पायलट के ऊपर सब डालना चाह रहे थे, उस वजह से रिकॉर्डिंग रिलीज की गई थी, या हमसे कुछ छुपाया जा रहा था, या पब्लिक को या हमारे फैमिली मेंबर्स को सबको गुमराह किया जा रहा था उसके रिगार्डिंग? पहले तो वो सवाल हमसे उनसे पहले पूछना चाहिए।
आप हमें ये बताइए कि अगर एक कोर्ट मॉनिटर्ड प्रोब होगा इस पूरे मामले में, तब क्या फैमिलीज को संतुष्टि मिलेगी?
में जब तक ब्लैक बॉक्स का डेटा हमें पब्लिश या हमारे लॉयर या हमें दिखाया नहीं जाएगा, तब तक कोई फैमिली मेंबर इसमें सेटिस्फेक्शन कंप्लीट नहीं होगा किसी का भी।
Okay. Sarosh Damania, you're an aviation lawyer. Help us understand the rules here. I mean, AAIB has cited some rules to suggest that they cannot make the recordings public. I understand that's the rule that's followed in America also by NTSB, but then they can put out the transcript because it is a matter of huge concern. And if they had a problem with releasing the transcript, why did they put out that little excerpt in the preliminary report? Where did the rules go at that time?
See, understanding the rules are very clear on the international level also, that these all materials such as the black box data and the transcripts are very crucial evidence in deciding any investigation in an aircraft accident. So what happens is that, of course, there was a part of the transcript or part of the voice clip which was released in the preliminary report, which was a part of it which was discretionary released by the authorities. So there is per se no complete bar on it, on doing it, or they can of course release part of the transcript or the entire transcript in the maybe in the final report. But right now we are at an early stage to comment. Let us first
early
understand.
Stage, Sarosh Damania, it has been over a year and you still feel that this is an early stage. I mean, is that going to be your response to the families who are still waiting for closure?
No, I understand that it is taking time. It has, of course, exceeded the time it was supposed to complete. But you need to understand these aircraft investigations are extremely complicated. There's very data which they have to rely heavily on data, heavily on the material which has been found in the crash, heavily on the testing of different various things, and of course there are aircrafts are manufactured with various parts.
Captain Randhawa, how will you like to respond to this argument by Sarosh Damania?
See, I would like to dispute what Mr. Damania is saying. The investigation, imagine a 32-second flight and it's over a year and we're still investigating. And they're not investigating in the right direction. You see, we have been, from day one, we are saying that there is a serious electrical problem on the aircraft. We have been asking that there have been 11 codes which have been transmitted from 0753 till 07. So all this time, 11 codes have been transmitted on the aircraft health monitoring system. Those can be only decoded by the Boeing. They have not been, there is no cognizance being taken by the AAIB investigation body. The second point is we have been stressing upon that now we had submitted the simulator findings, which a simulator session was carried out on an EASA level D simulator, 6-axis simulator, and where we have challenged the timelines which were given in the preliminary report regarding the deployment of the RAT and the timings which they have given. Now, we have been asking since last 4 months to carry out the simulator trials, replicating the accident. Still, they have not done it, even though we have marked the copies to the Prime Minister of India.
Right.
We have received now 2 responses from the PMO's office. And we have been stressing upon that they should carry out the simulator to dispute what report we have submitted to the Supreme Court and which we have written to the AAIB,
right,
to dispute our report and to substantiate their finding of the preliminary report. Those timelines are not matching.
Okay.
Because as we found out in this 10 simulator reports which were done, that for an engine, when a jet engine, it is on takeoff power, and to come below flight idle, it takes 12 seconds. The second thing is for the RAT to deploy and supply the hydraulic pressure, it takes additional 6 seconds.
Right.
So in case both the engines flame out, then the RAT deploys and gives hydraulic pressure. That means the 47 timeline is wrong.
Okay.
It did not deploy because of the engines. It deployed because of the problem with the electrical system.
Okay.
Right? And that is how it must have got deployed just after getting airborne.
Isn't that a fair point, Saroj Damania?
Oh, investigation is still going on. See, understand that they are investigating and they will come out with a conclusion. You cannot prejudge what is going to come out in the final report.
No, the point here is that why is there no transparency? I mean, you know, on 12th of June 2026, we were waiting for some kind of clarity from AAIB. What did we get was a status update. I understand it's a very, very complex investigation. It's not easy. But then in the preliminary report, why did they mention an excerpt of the conversation? And now they are telling the Supreme Court that we cannot give out the complete details. There is no need to have an independent court-monitored probe.
When did Captain Nanda also started, he also concurred with that. You cannot give out the flight data, you cannot give the black box data. It is as per international standards and that is being followed.
No, but the transcript can be given, right? AAIB can say that in our final report we are going to put out the pertinent portions of the transcript.
No, it is not permissible. It's simple as it's
No, I understand audio recordings can't be put out in public domain, can't be presented to an external committee. I understand all of that. But at least the pertinent portions of the transcript can be put out in final report. AAIB can give this assurance to the people of this country and the families waiting for closure that we will give you all the relevant details in the final report. Even that has not been said.
No, of course, this is just a reply. The hearing is there. Now the matter is sub judice before the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Now, in the hearing, they will come to a conclusion. Of course, whatever the court orders, they have to follow. So there is no choice. If the court orders them to release it, they'll have to release it.
Okay.
But in contrary to that, if there is no orders of the court, they are not bound to release that because there is no provision under which they are duty bound to do it. So they are just following the procedure.
Okay, Romin Vora, अभी 17 तारीख को सुप्रीम कोर्ट में इस मामले को लेके हियरिंग है. आप क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं?
एक्सपेक्टेशन में तो मैं कुछ भी बता नहीं सकता हूं बिकॉज ऑफ अराउंड बहुत टाइम से हमें झूठ पे झूठ बताया जा रहा है. जैसे कि सर ने भी बताया कि लाइक सुप्रीम कोर्ट के अंदर जो रिपोर्ट के रिगार्डिंग कल बात करी गई वो हमें एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है बिकॉज ऑफ जो सच है वो हर फैमिली के जानने का अधिकार है
जी.
ये हमारा जो अधिकार है हमें सच का मालूम होना चाहिए. अगर ये रिकॉर्डिंग और एक्सेट्रा ब्लैक बॉक्स के डेटा वो रिलीज नहीं कर रहे हैं उसका मतलब ये है कि कुछ छुपाया जा रहा है. सेकंड थिंग के रीजन मुझे एक मेन पॉइंट मेरा ये है कि अगर आप रिपोर्ट रिलीज कर रहे हो तो क्या एविडेंस है कि वो रिपोर्ट सच है. उसके अंदर कुछ प्लस माइनस नहीं किया गया है. अगर आप रिकॉर्डिंग देना नहीं चाह रहे हो तो उसका एविएशन सीधा वहीं पे जा रहा है कि रिपोर्ट में कुछ भी आ सकता है.
Well, that's an important point that you have made, that it is important for AAIB to also instill confidence among the family members of the victims that a fair probe is underway. So all eyes clearly, viewers, are going to be on this very crucial hearing in the Supreme Court on 17th of July. Thank you very much, all of you gentlemen, for joining us here on this discussion. We here at Times Now, of course, will be tracking this very, very closely for you, and we'll get you the fastest updates on this big story that we are tracking right now. Heading into a short break, we'll be back with more.